Everyone's talking about investing in 2025. Stocks, bonds, ETFs, but no one's talking about what actually protects your wealth. Here's the truth. You don't really own your 401k. Wall Street does. And if the system breaks, you're the last to know. That's why more people are turning to Bitcoin, not to get rich fast, but to actually own what they've earned. In this video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know about Bitcoin, your 401k, and how to actually own your money. What is custody? Custody means, or the actual definition of custody means who actually holds and controls the asset. When you think about stocks, if you own any stocks or if you own any sort of IRA or if you or Roth IRA or 401k or an ETF or maybe even your TSP if you're in the military, um, that who actually controls those accounts, right? A broker, right? Typically, all that money is held in a brokerage account, like Robinhood or Fidelity or maybe Vanguard. Your access can be paused, limited, denied, revoked. So, we got to think about this and like how this can affect just like us. And we also have to remember that this is actually something that's going on right now in the world. You have people in other countries who have been debanked, right? And which is why they are looking for other means to store their wealth, which is, thankfully, I'm glad that Tether, which is it's a stable coin, people are now being allowed to, or they have the ability to use this in order to start storing their wealth. Um, so yeah, like, but that's besides the point. Debanking can happen to anybody, anywhere, at any point in time, depending on how bad hyperinflation is in your country, and that's typically why these people get debanked because of hyperinflation. Um, so, what is the solution? One might ask, right? And obviously, the solution is Bitcoin. If you're watching the channel, of course, the solution is going to be Bitcoin. When you self custody your Bitcoin, you're using some wallet like Sparrow or maybe Nunchuck or Cold Card or whatever to hold your keys, right? There is no broker, no middleman. It's just you and your money, right? Your Bitcoin is stored on a blockchain that is and always has been unmanipulated and is true to the core. As long as you have your private keys, you have your access. No one can freeze your account unless you have your money on an exchange or you have your Bitcoin on an exchange. If you leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, unfortunately, your Bitcoin is at risk. It's not in your custody, so therefore it can be manipulated. It can be frozen. It can be frozen. It can be revoked. Remember, not your keys, not your coins. So why does this matter, right? This matters because it allows you to be able to move between borders if need be. Say something was to pop off in America and you were like, okay, I'm not feeling this. I need to get out of America. I need to go somewhere, or I need to get out of wherever I am right now in the world and I need to move somewhere else. It allows you to move with your money, right? You can literally move your Bitcoin. All you need to know is your 12, 24, 18 word seed phrase, and you can move to wherever you need to go. If you try to do that with your stocks or real estate, it's pretty much impossible. If some shit was to hit the fan today, your stocks and real estate would be screwed. Your assets would be frozen, and you won't be able to do anything about it. In a financial crisis, government won't be able to seize your money because your Bitcoin is self custody, and the only way that they're able to get that is if you give it to them. Your Bitcoin is censorship resistant. Nobody can stop, reverse, or deny your Bitcoin transactions if you self custody. One of the things that I kind of like to say is that Bitcoin flips the current financial or current economic system and puts it on a handstand because it's literally the complete opposite of what it is, and it turns everything upside down, and it basically it changes the game so that instead of the the puppet masters always being in control, the masses finally have control, and we have the opportunity to break our debt shackles, or just like our shackles in general, and become these self-sovereign individuals that we were always meant to be. So the next argument that I like to get into when it comes to Bitcoin versus stocks would be traditional markets and just Bitcoin in general, right? But when you think about it, Bitcoin is a 24/7, 365 global market, right? It's the one true market. And whereas you compare that to stocks in traditional markets, they only open they're only open from 9:30 to 4, and through Monday through Friday. They're closed on the weekends, they're closed on the holidays, and sometimes you can't even trade if volatility is like super super bad. So, when you put it into that perspective, like it shows you just like how much control that you don't have over like your money right now. And it's super wild that a lot of people don't see that. And a lot of people should see that, but they don't. Stock market sleep, Bitcoin doesn't. So Bitcoin is constantly just draining the markets. How the stock market lies to you, right? A lot of people think that a 7% return on an investment is a win when it comes to being in the stock market, right? Or they think that that's like the highest that you can go when it comes to just getting a return in the market. Um, if think about it, if inflation is 9%, your money is losing value in real terms. It's like you're running on a treadmill thinking you're moving forward, but the whole time you're not going anywhere. Um, the advantage with Bitcoin is that there are only 21 million of them, and it doesn't inflate because of political agendas. Just think about it. Like we have these politicians who they trade. Well, first off, they insider trade, and there are no ramifications to them or repercussions of them doing this, and they've been doing it for years. And everybody's supposed to just sit by and watch. Whereas with Bitcoin, everybody can buy Bitcoin. Anybody can buy Bitcoin. There there is no political agenda behind Bitcoin. If something does happen that's political or whatever with Bitcoin, like right now, with the whole Iran going to war with Israel thing and saying they're going to bomb America and everything like that, it's still trending at all-time highs for pretty much the year. So, put that in perspective as well when it comes to owning Bitcoin and understanding what it is. Once you kind of look at this stuff, you'll see that like Bitcoin operates outside of the current financial system, if that makes sense. Um, if your money isn't outpacing inflation, you're working just to stand still, really. Well, another argument that I've seen is true scarcity and long-term vision. Real estate, for example, right? New homes are constantly built, zoning laws change, supply isn't fixed. Stocks, companies issue new shares, create stock splits, or get diluted through VCs. Gold, more is mined every year. Hard to verify purity and ownership digitally, especially when it comes to trading gold, paper gold, just like paper Bitcoin. That's a thing now with Bitcoin ETFs. But when you compare stocks, gold, ETFs to real estate to Bitcoin, you get that there's no competition really. There are 21 million Bitcoin. That's it forever. You can't make fake Bitcoin unless you're doing like paper Bitcoin, like these ETFs or whatever. But if you're buying Bitcoin by itself solely through, say, River or Strike or whatever, and you're putting your Bitcoin away, that's it. The Bitcoin you buy is the Bitcoin you have. And there are only and will ever be 21 million. There is no way to manipulate the current supply of Bitcoin. And you can verify every transaction and the transactions that you make included on chain. You can audit and supply yourself, and you can take it anywhere. You can't do that with your gold. You can't take your gold anywhere. If you take it to another country, it's probably going to be stolen from you. They won't allow it through their borders. Um, your stocks. If you leave your stocks behind, well, let's say you move to another country, right? And your stocks are still in your account. You can access them through your phone or whatever. But say something happens in wherever country that you're from. Like for example, say uh, if you lived in China and Trump starts placing all these tariffs on everything, the stocks that you have money in just freaking shot down. And that happened. That happened to people as soon as Trump got in office and announced and stuff. So, with Bitcoin, that doesn't happen, and that is not going to happen because again, Bitcoin it operates outside of the current financial system. Um, One of the long-term visions that I have is that Bitcoin is not a quick flip, if you will. Bitcoin, it is an opt out of the current financial system, and it is an opt into a completely different global free market economy. End this video off on just just saying to you guys that, you know, the leaders of the current financial or economic system, they want us to play the old game. They want us to keep chasing returns and trusting their system. But Bitcoin is not an investment; it is literal exit velocity. And one of the things that you have to remember is that you do not have to beat the market. You just have to opt out of the lie that the current financial system is telling you. Um, if you study Bitcoin and if you really understand it, you'll understand what I'm talking about, which is why I recommend to everybody just take the time out and just study Bitcoin. Just start out with, if you don't want to study Bitcoin, I suggest you study the overall market, like our current just economic system. Like study money, look into why inflation happens. Understand that inflation is not normal. It's not meant to be something that just happens every year, year after year. Your money gets debased, you get poorer and poorer and poorer. That's not a thing. That's not meant to happen. We aren't meant to be live in this world where we have to work 4 jobs and still when we turn 65 we still have to work after that. You're not meant to work until you die. You're not, that's not what life is. It, and everything, it ties back into the money, right? It ties back into broken money. Our monetary system is broken, and the only way to fix it is to opt out, and Bitcoin is the literal opting out of our economic system, right? We opt out in order to fix it. That's what it is. And once you understand that, your whole mindset, your parent, like just your core, everything changes once you understand that. So again, I stress, study Bitcoin, understand Bitcoin. I'll drop a couple links down below to, if anyone wants to like get started with studying, or just, you know, just genuinely curious about what I'm talking about. So thank you guys for tuning in. Talk to you on the next one.